Good afternoon and welcome to our webinar on our Fusion appointment book tools. So for anybody that was on our last webinar would know that we went through all of the new features within Fusion itself. And today we're just going to have a closer look at the appointment book tools. So we're just going to skip through. So I'm just going to go through the housekeeping things first. So your speakers must be turned on to hear this webinar. My microphone is on and everybody else has been muted. If you're having any technical difficulties, then there is a chat box, so you can type in if you've got any issues there. And there will be a questions and answer session at the end. So throughout, if you come up with any questions, if you just pop them in the chat box, and then at the end of the session, we'll then answer these at the end. Now the webinar is scheduled to take about 30 minutes for us to run through the content, and then there should be time for a 10-minute question and answer session afterwards. So if we get through it a bit quicker, then we might have a little bit more time for the questions. If we do have any problems and we are running a little bit over with the content itself and I don't get through all the questions, then what I can do is go through the questions that are there and email out the responses afterwards if we don't quite have enough time. Cool. So what we're going to be going through today, so we're going to be touching on the new appointment book features, and the objectives today are to show you the client dashboard, the arrival screen, service tracking, changing a service in an appointment book, appointment groups, we've now got an appointment clash warning, and also finishing blocks. Cool. So just double checking that nobody's got any problems and then we'll crack on. Fab. So first of all, we're going to have a look at the client dashboard. So what I've done is I've got some screenshots of what to look for, but I'm also going to take you into shortcuts as well and just show it you as to where you can access this information. So we're going to have a look at the client dashboard first. So this is our client dashboard. As you can see, it's on the client screen. You have a list of all your clients, and by clicking on a client it will then give you our dashboard. It gives you information about the client. So basically the idea is that you've got information at a glance. You're able to see that client's preferred employee. You can see if they're a member of a club, the number of visits, and also the number of no-shows and cancellations. You can see the average spend, so how much that client's spending on average. You can see if they've got an outstanding account balance. Now the outstanding on account will go red if the account is in debt. So just to highlight that if you do have anybody that owes you some money, then the amount outstanding will be in red, so it will tell you that they owe us money. The alert message, so on this one you can see it's a super fussy client, takes an extra 15 minutes for styling. So the alert message shows up without you having to actually right click, go down to alert message and open that up. It will also show any outstanding series, so we have an outstanding series section. So if the client's bought any courses or treatments, you can see how many they've got left. You can see any future appointments, and it also shows any past appointments that have been made as well. So as we said, it's just giving you a snapshot of that client at a glance, but it's all the information you need, whether you're looking at a client or whether you're booking a client in for an appointment. So just to quickly jump into shortcuts. So our client dashboard can be accessed through the appointment screen, basically anywhere that you access a client list. As soon as you go into the appointments and you click on a client, you'll see that it then brings up the dashboard. So it replaces the letters and numbers that usually show up in the middle panel. As soon as you select on a client, it will then bring up that dashboard, and again you can flick between clients if you want. So you'll see I've got a little long hair need more time alert on mine. So as I said, you can see it while you're making an appointment. You can also see it through the client screen itself, so by going into clients and selecting on a client. So literally as soon as you select a client, it will bring that dashboard up for you. And also through point of sale as well, through point of sale and into clients. And then you can see there our dashboard shows up again. Cool. So really quick and easy to use. It's there, it's loads of information on there that will be really useful, especially when you've got a client booking in for a future appointment. They're booking in, they don't know when the next appointment is, rather than you having to then right click and go into the schedule. It puts all their past and future appointments there for you, so you can see what they've had in the past. If they're asking for a facial, not quite sure what facial they've had, or if they're looking to book in an appointment and they're booking it for maybe 2 weeks' time, they might already have a future appointment in there for 2 weeks' time. So it just means that you're not double booking clients, you're not booking them in twice, and hopefully should alleviate any issues that you come across. So that's our client dashboard. Cool. So the next thing that we've got is we've got what we call our arrivals screen. So this is great for anybody that wants a quick way of arriving clients into the salon. And also having a quick glance at where your clients are at. So instead of looking at the appointment book and seeing, right, this client's in and arriving them, having a look to see is that client late, what it does is it stacks all the clients in a list, and you're able then to look down that list. So you can see on our screen, we've got our top 2 clients and they're in red, so you can see that they're due in minus 11 minutes and minus 86 minutes, so that's showing that those clients are actually over their allotted time. And then you can see the other clients underneath, they're in black, so that means that we're still waiting for them to come in, and you can see that they're due in at 19 minutes time. So as I said, it's a quick way of being able to arrive clients. So rather than searching through the appointment book to find those clients, all we need to do is we just click on that arrive button in the arrival screen, and it automatically arrives them, marks them as arrived on the appointment page for you. So I'm just going to quickly jump into shortcuts again and just show it you for live. So into shortcuts, and you'll see down the side against the just underneath the appointments, there is an arrival screen. So for some clients, they'll find this really useful, and actually we'll use this more than using the appointment. So you'll use the appointments to book in the appointments, but day to day you'll use the arrival screen. So you'll see it tells you when the client's due in, and you can click on your plus next to it, and it will give you a breakdown. If the client's in for multiple services, it will give you a breakdown of each of those multiple services that they're booked in for, and it will also state the employee that they're booked in for. So if they're booked in for with 2 different employees, then you can see that it will show that underneath as well. If they're linked up to a group, which we'll get to shortly, then it will also put on there a group identifier, so you know who's in which group, and you're able to then mark a group of people in together with just a couple of clicks. So to arrive a client, all we need to do is just click on this green arrive, and you'll see that my client has now disappeared off the arrival screen. You can also client search, so if you've got a massive list of clients, then you can actually click on the client search and search for the client by surname or full name. Now, one of the good things about the arrival screen is not only do we use it just for marking people arrived, we can also look at anybody that's already been marked as arrived. So you can see in the top corner we've got a little show arrived only button. And by clicking this, it flips the screen, and it flips it over to the clients that are marked as arrived. So the first side is that it's looking at everybody that's not arrived yet, and then this screen is everybody that is arrived. If you've made a mistake, you can undo the arrived, so we can take them back and stick them back on the arrival screen. And you'll see we've also got a little flag at the end. So from here I can click on to pause, and that will take me straight through to the point of sale. So it takes me straight through with that client's bill, and it just means rather than going through the appointment book, especially if you've got multiple columns, rather than you trying to find that client and then checking them out or trying to find them in the drop down at point of sale, you can just click on to pause in the arrival screen. You can search for them, click to pause, and that will take them straight through and will automatically build their bill for you. So as I said, it sits alongside the appointments, and it's there purely for you just to arrive and to check out clients. You can also go in and check their bill, so you could go to pause, have a look at the bill, update the bill, and then until you've actually checked that client out, they don't disappear off the arrival screen at all. So that's our arrival screen, and that's on every single Fusion application. So it's there for you for when you do your upgrade, then it's there for you to use straight away. So the next thing we're going to look at is we have something called service tracking. Now this is configurable. So if you wanted to use this, you can do. It's just a tick box within the backgrounds. And if you don't want to use it, then by standard it's turned off. So you don't need to. So the idea of this is for a client that is booked in when you've got somebody coming in for multiple services with different people. Then what you can do is you can use the service tracking. So when somebody is marked arrived, then they will go the blue and the yellow. So the appointment goes two different colours, and the blue and the yellow means that that appointment is arrived, but the client is waiting to have their service started. Then once a client is taken into the chair or taken into the beauty room, then the therapist or stylist should then be selecting that the service has started against the appointment. And this lets everybody know that that service has been started, and that client is underway. And then you've then got the final one, which is service finished. So service finished, by selecting that, just means that that client has finished, and hopefully they should be coming along to pay. Then once they pay, the whole appointment will go grey. So just to demonstrate it in a live version of Shortcuts. So you'll see here I arrived my clients through the arrival screen, so that's automatically arrived them as service waiting. Now if I was an employee and I was going to start that client, then all I would do is right click and service started. As soon as I select it, then you'll see that it goes blue with that reddy pinky colour at the bottom, or at the side depending on the actual appointment. Then once I've finished that service, so my client's now free to, maybe they might be booked in for multiple services, or they might just be ready to pay, then I can just again right click. I've got an undo if I've made a mistake, or I can do service finished, and all that does is that changes the appointment from blue to that pinky reddy colour to a blue and a grey. So it's just notifying everybody that that client is finished, and whoever's on reception should be aware that that client should be ready to come and pay shortly. So as I said, service tracking, it's great for people that are using multiple employees for different services. You've got one client going over multiple employees and multiple services. Then they can track where that client's up to. Is the client ready for them, or are they still with the other stylist, therapist, etc.? Cool. As I said, this is a configurable change. So to turn this on, it's under Setup and Configuration, and then into your General Setup, and then into General. Into your appointments, and then there's a track appointment service status there. So as I said, you can turn it off and on. Let me just skip through these bits. So we can also change a service within Fusion. So changing a service means that I've made a mistake and I've booked a client in for a blow dry, and I meant to book them in for a long blow dry. What we can do is we can actually click on the appointment itself, and instead of the old way was we used to have to click on the appointment, and we used to have to then delete that appointment and rebook the client back in, or we just had to make a note and then we had to change it when it came to changing the bill. So here what we can do is we can right click on an appointment, and then we can go to change service. So just right click on an appointment, change service. It takes you through to the service picker, and you just choose the service that you want to do. What that means is then it's updating the appointment book. So if you were booked in for half an hour and actually they needed 45 minutes, it will correctly alter the timings of that appointment for the correct service that you're changing it to. So that's our change service. Pretty self-explanatory, so I'm not going to take you into shortcuts to show you that one. So the next thing that we have is we have appointment groups. So for anybody that has groups of people coming into their salon and wants to be able to identify who's in a particular group, then we have this functionality available within Shortcuts. So the idea is that you can group, so bridal parties, hen parties, anything like that. We can group them all together. We can easily identify, if we've got multiple groups, we can identify who's in which group. And we can also filter the appointment book for groups so that we can find them quickly. So I will jump into Shortcuts for this one, just so I can show you the few different things. Okay. So to put somebody into a group, all we need to do is we would just right click on the client's appointment and you'll see down the bottom we've got a little add to group option. So if there's already groups set up, then where it says appointment groups there would be a list of all the groups that are already set up, and the add to group is just creating a new one. So we can just click add to group and then we just give it a name. So I'm just going to call it hen party and done. And you'll see now on my appointment it's put 2 little black dots. So basically each group has a different colour. So black dots is the first group and then there'll be another colour and another colour afterwards. So if I wanted to add Sue into the group, again I can do the same thing. It's a right click, add to group. Now you can see there I've got add to group, or I've actually got that hen party underneath. So I could just add her into a completely new group, or I could add her to hen party if I wanted to. A quicker way of also adding a client into a group rather than doing it through the actual right click on the appointment is down the bottom in the menu. There is an appointment group section and this brings up a pop-up screen. So here at the top I can select a group. So if I've got multiple groups, I can select the group that I want to add my clients to. It will tell me which clients are already in this group and it will give me a list of all the unassigned clients. I can also search, so I could search for somebody by a particular name, and then once I've found the client that I want to add to the group, I select my client and I click add. And that automatically adds in. I can keep going and I can edit and change the name if I need to, or in here I can also create a new group as well. So what you could do is, instead of doing it from the appointment, I find this way a little bit quicker, is literally go into the menu, add a new group for that day, type in the group name, and then you can just assign everybody that's going to be in that group if you've already made all their appointments. So that was under the menu, or as I said, you can right click and add them to the group through the add group section. Within the filter, so we want to know who's in a group. So on the arrival screen it will put those little dots next to each group so that we know who's in which group. But if I wanted to look at the appointments for a particular group, then I'm able to filter down. So if I can use my filter at the bottom, you'll see that there's a new one called Groups. It will give me a list of all of the groups. So I could just look at my hen party and you'll see that it then filters my appointments. So I'm just looking at the clients that are in that particular group. Fab. So that's our grouping. So pretty straightforward, but worth a little go, especially if you do get multiple groups in. It's always worth to use that. And as I said, it just puts the identifier in the arrival screen. So when you're arriving them and you're taking them to point of sale, you know if they were in a group or if they were individual clients. So one of one of the really good features that has come into Fusion is an appointment clash warning. So previously, if an appointment sat over and overlapped another appointment, or it sat over a time off, or anything like that, it used to go in orangey colour and tell you that was a conflict. But unfortunately, it didn't tell you there was the conflict until you'd booked it in which case it then sat there orange and you either had to delete it and you needed to move it around or resize it. So what we have is we now have an option to be able to come up with an appointment clash warning. So there's two things that happen here. The first one is when we're booking in an appointment, so when we get to this service selection page, when booking an appointment, you'll see on our photo there that I'm trying to book in for a barber cut, and the whole appointment has gone orange, so the service has gone orange, and what that means is there's a clash, and it means there's an employee clash, so there's an appointment clash there. Either there's an appointment already there, the time overlaps another appointment, or that employee is unavailable for whatever reason. So it's there just to warn you in orange, and that's the standard that comes on automatically. Now you can also have the prompt, so you'll see that you've got that warning appointment conflict. So that warning appointment conflict little prompt that you can see there that tells you that the it's in conflict and would you like to reschedule or continue. This is configurable again, so we can turn this on and off. Some people might not want it popping up, they might want to have a clash and they're quite happy to resize the appointment and move it. But if you want the pop-up, then you can turn it on, and it's through our general setups again. So in the general settings, under configuration, general, and then general, there's a warn user on appointment clash tick box. So turn that on if you want the pop-up. If you don't want the pop-up, then leave it unticked and it just gives you the orange bar that just warns you there's a clash. But if you hit done, it books the appointment in. The pop-up, as I said, comes up and tells you there's a conflict. Now, we have two options. We can either hit continue. Continue means that it will allow us to make that appointment. We might be aware that the appointment overlaps, in which case we can just resize that appointment, move it around, resize it and slot it back in wherever we want to. Or we can hit reschedule. And what reschedule does is it would take us through to our appointment wizard that most of you should be aware of from our earlier versions of shortcuts, and then the appointment wizard will search for a suitable time for that appointment for you. So it does all the hard work for you. You can hit cancel and then just delete the service, and you can go right back out of it and start all over again if you wish. So a couple of different options, but as I said, it is configurable, so if you want that pop-up coming up, you can do, and if you don't, then you don't need to have it turned on at all. It will just give you that orange bar, and it's just a little warning that there's an issue, but if you hit done, it will carry on making that appointment for you. Cool. And then we're going to look at our finishing block. So our finishing block, we discussed this last time on the previous webinar, and the finishing block is purely there for services that require a finishing service. So for example, all of your colours might include a blow dry, but then you may want to change it to a cut and blow dry if you wish. So what this does is, by adding in a finishing block, which is just within the service itself, in the service details, you would add in the normal colour, and you would use the second block for a finishing service. So if you booked in a colour and you didn't choose a cut afterwards, then it would automatically backbook after the colour and after the processing time or the break. It would automatically book in that finishing service. If, however, you did book in a cut, then that finishing service wouldn't come up. So I know previously we've had issues where people have had colours and cuts, colours and blow dries set up, but then they want to change the blow dry to a cut, and you have to delete the appointment and then go back in and rebook in the cut. So this kind of gets away from that. and it just means that no services are ever going to be booked in without that finishing service afterwards. And it's pretty key for online booking as well, because we know a lot of people have had problems with online booking where clients book in a colour but they forget to book in a blow dry or a cut afterwards. So this will actually fix that for you. So anybody who's had that issue, this will be excellent for. And all it means is that when a client selects a cut on online booking, colour on online booking, and they don't select a finishing service afterwards, then it will automatically back book in a blow dry for the allotted time. So all you need to do is just go and set it up within your colour services or any other services that may be relevant. And it just needs to be added into the second block. It needs to be set with a time. And then you just need to tick finishing, and all it means is, as I said, it will just add it in if no other service is selected after a colour. If however you selected a cut, then that's fine, that finishing service will not appear, it will just bring through the colour and the cut that you've selected. So hopefully it should get rid of any issues or errors that are being made. It's just a bit of a security thing just to tidy it up a little bit and make sure that appointments are in as they should be. Cool. So a hot tip, a couple of little things that have been added in as well. So the appointment book will default back to today's date after each login. So there is an option within Shortcuts now that we can turn it on that the appointment book will automatically default back to today. So if the computer logs you out, you log back in with your PIN number, it will automatically log you back in on today's date on the appointment page. If you don't want that option, then there is an option within the general setting again that you can just say that you don't want it to default back to today's date, and then it will just remember where you were last time on the appointment page. Fusion also allows Anywhere users the option to book appointments remotely if given the access. So with Anywhere, you are then able to make your appointments and reschedule your appointments on the go. So just a little nifty tool that you can use if you're out and about and a client phones you, you're then actually able to make their appointment straight away rather than having to phone the salon. Cool. So that's us covered our topic. So what you should have learned today is our new appointment book features. So you should have learned how to use the client dashboard and the arrivals screen, the service tracking, so how to turn the service tracking on and how to use it, how to change a service in the appointment book, how to set up the appointment groups and also how to use them by filtering down, the appointment clash warning, so what that means and also that it's configurable if you wish to use it, and then also about the finishing blocks, how to use the finishing blocks within Fusion itself. So our next webinar takes us on to the next step of Fusion. So we're going to be looking at the new Fusion point of sale features. So that's going to be on Monday the 23rd of March and that's going to be at 2 p.m. If you wish to register, then it's already on our website. So you can visit our website to shortcuts.co.uk/webinars. And we now have a new webinar library. So for anybody that wants to watch on iPads and Macs and has had issues in the past, our new website webinar page, we now have a webinar library and all of our webinars have been uploaded into videos, so you can actually click on a video and watch it rather than previously you had to wait for the link. So if you've signed up and you get the link through our system that we use once you finish this webinar, so you'll get the email with the link on it, that link will still not work on iPads and Macs, but if you visit our webinar page and go to the webinar library on our website, then you will actually be able to watch the recordings from there. Cool. So now we're at our questions and answers. So I'm just going to have a quick nosy and see if anybody has left me any questions, or if you do, if you've got any questions, please tap away now. Okay, so I don't seem to have any questions coming through, which is good. That means I've obviously covered everything. So if you do have any questions whatsoever, then by all means, there's my email address. It's beth.hendry@shortcuts.co.uk. Send me an email. You can visit us on our Facebook page, you can visit our website, or you can give us a call. So if you've got any questions whatsoever, then just ping me an email, and I'll always try and get back to you as soon as possible. So hopefully I'll be speaking to you on our next one on Monday the 23rd of March, and hopefully you'll have a good day. Thank you very much.